Welcome back, everybody, to the Fortune Roots podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Couture, and this is another Fortune Friday episode. I hope you guys are having a good day or morning, night, evening, whenever you listen to this. It's been a minute since I've hopped on. It's been a couple weeks. I've been in the background just trying to get some more guests on. I had a whole bunch booked up. Some things have come up with schedule, so hopefully we'll try and get more of those out on Mondays and get that into another rhythm. We'll see. Like I said, work in progress in the background, but hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. And just as far as the Fridays, I wanted to make sure that I had actually good content, not just putting something out just to put it out, because I wanted it to be something that I was proud of and not just for the sake of putting it out to make a post, because I know for me, I don't really like when people do that, or not that I don't like, but I'm not as interested when you can tell they just weren't passionate about whatever they're talking about. So that's why I haven't posted, but I've got some news for you guys. So this episode is going to be short, just like the Fridays usually are, but kind of, I've mentioned it in a couple podcasts, I think already, but I haven't like officially announced it or said what I'm really going to be doing. And that is going on an elk hunt for the first time in my life. I was lucky enough to have Jason Holiday from the Harvest Holiday podcast. You guys have seen him on the podcast a few times now. Him and I have been talking back and forth, and he's been gracious enough to offer to take me out for my first hunt as long as I'm willing to put in the work. So we're not going this year because it would have been way too soon and didn't have a tag. We're going to be going the following fall. So it'll be not this September, but the following September. And got a lot of time before that happens, but there's still a lot of work to be done on my end and his end. And just want to at least tell you guys, because I know this is something I'm super excited about. I actually just got off a call with him, just going to record a quick podcast so I can get something out for you guys and update you. This is now the third time we've had the call, and we've talked everything from like certain areas that we're going to look and how to look for that, different things on learning elk behavior. What gear do you absolutely need? Do you need all the Sitka gear? Which Jason will be the first to tell you, you absolutely do not need all the Sitka gear off the bat. If you can afford it and that's what you want, cool, great. It's awesome stuff. It works, but we can do it on a budget. He actually suggested the hiking pants that I took out to when I went to Hocking Hills about a month ago now. And those were $20 at Walmart, and they were fantastic. He said he suggested them, and they were definitely worth the price point versus the couple $100s it is for Sitka. And where I'm at in life right now, that's just not an easy here's some money and drop it on that. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. And what else do I got going on? We've talked different foods. I've actually I ordered some dehydrated meals from Alpenfuel, and they're more of like a breakfast that they had. They had a bundle, so I've been trying those. I tried that with my girlfriend. There was a caramel apple something breakfast, like oats, and that was really good. And I got like 5 more to try before I've gone through them all. And just things that I never would have thought of. When we've been talking about, and he's been just super open and knowledgeable. And this is part of the Forging Roots and this podcast and what I've been trying to do and actually living that out. And hopefully you guys are too, is like going out to people and reaching out to people, because had I never started this podcast or this journey of figuring it out, I would not be sitting here being able to share with you guys that this is something that I'll be doing, which is still kind of crazy for me to rack my brain around. And I'm just so overly grateful for the opportunity. But let's see what else we got going on. We've also, so within that year, obviously going to Colorado and hiking out in those mountains is no easy task. And no matter how prepared you are, it's still going to probably kick your butt. So that's definitely over the next year, something I really want to dial in. And I haven't really shared it on the podcast. Sharing your life with people isn't always easy, especially when this can go out to complete, like if you're listening and you know me, I wouldn't mind sharing that with you, but this might be going out to completely random strangers. And I'm sure sharing your life and things that are more private are, it's just something you don't do. So it's a little nerve wracking at times, but to do that, I know I have to get in much, much, much better shape than I am in right now. I've kind of talked about it here and there with certain guests, and you may have heard me. It's been a constant journey, but I need to work on the mental toughness side of things. And I would hope you guys can, if you guys are listening, keep me accountable. I know Jason has been, and he will be. He said obviously, if he's going to be investing this time into me, I got to be doing my part, which I have been. So I think I started, I have no problem sharing it. I was at my heaviest, I think like 290, almost, yeah, 290. And been starting this in the background. Like I said, this has been something him and I have been talking about for a couple months ish, close to a couple months now. So I've been working on it, and I'm now around 250. Still got a long ways to go, but I'm making the right steps. And I would hope that you guys can, you guys have any suggestions or things to help or just encouragement, I would gladly take it. And even just not even encouragement, but keep me accountable. And if this is something you guys want to join in sharing that journey, or you can either DM me, or if you want to just share this in general and hop on this journey of getting in better shape or sharpening your mental toughness in life. Like I know we've talked with Barklow, and he's like, man, there's sometimes when, or John Barklow, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about. And he's like, man, I don't feel like taking a cold shower, but because he doesn't feel like doing it, he'll take one anyways, just to do these one little things to sharpen your mental toughness. So going forward, that's going to be like first and foremost what I need to do to make this happen. I'm super excited. So I just wanted to hop on and share that with you guys. And I guess, I'll have a little update. So that's basically the main part of this podcast. But today I was at work. This is kind of going off of forging roots and making sure you're prepared, because you never know what you're going to have to do in life, right? And one of these things, like obviously I've talked about firearms and hunting, and something that I need to work on still is like learning more first aid stuff. And I have a tourniquet and know how to apply it and use it to an extent, but I've never actually taken like a specific course on like a stop to bleed or something, which I really would like to. And that, thankfully I didn't need that today, but when I was at work, I'll share the story with you guys real quick. And I was at work standing the countertop that I was working on, and where I was standing, we had like this giant garage door that opens up, and where the door opens up, you obviously can see the street, cars going by, right? And I'm sitting there standing, and then all of a sudden, I mean, I blinked and I just saw this black bird just blur go like right by like that. And I was like, almost like no way that could have been a car, because it was so quick. Like something happened. It looked like, literally just looked like a shadow went by. And I looked a little confused, and one of my coworkers also must have seen this, because I see him looking confused, and he like looks back at me like, did you just see what I just saw? And I was like, giving the look like, yeah, something just went by. And he walks out of the garage door, and his eyes just get like super big, and starts going, Matt, 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 and like waving for me to come here, and just takes off running. So I'm like, oh crap, something just happened. I look out the window, and all I see is this giant cloud of dust that's like 15, 20 feet in the air. Sure enough, a car had gone by, and no joke, this is a residential like 25-mile-an-hour street that we're in, just outside of a suburb where our shop is. And it's 25 miles an hour, but it takes this really sharp, like almost 90-degree turn at the end of the street. Like we're right almost at the corner. And this car was doing 80 to 90 miles an hour easy, and went to turn and hit the brake. I don't even think he went to hit the brake. I think he just went to turn at that speed. Was going so fast that instead of going around the turn, he hit the curb on the other like banking turn of that 90 degrees, and hit the car sideways, went up and over onto the grass, and then continued to roll the car 5 times before it settled down, sitting up. Thankfully it was up. But so we're running to the car to go make sure whatever just happened, like everyone's okay. And the first thing was going through my head, like, oh my God, what am I going to be walking up on, and what's happening? Do I need to go get my tourniquet out of my car? First thing though is obviously if there's somebody in there, get them out, make sure they're okay. So we're running over there. I'm mid dialing 911 to make sure somebody at least starts getting on the way over here that's going to be more prepared and, actually in the field versus just us. So we run over there, and by the time we're even getting up to the car, this dude opens the door and gets out on his own. Um, Kind of stumbling back and forth, and I'm like, oh man, he's definitely rattled up from flipping the 5 times. And come to find out, like I'm on the phone with that one, like, hey, somebody just got in an accident, they were returning, and gave him the address and everything. And while I'm on the phone, my coworker ran up, made sure, like we made sure it's just thankfully it was just him in the car, no other passengers. He was driving a Ford Explorer, but from rolling it 5 times, it crunched down to the size of my Chevy Cobalt, little car. Like it just crunched the hood of that car down. And he got out without a scratch or bump or bruise or nothing. I don't know how he did, but like even other people from the local shops came running out, like, what just happened? And like, oh my gosh. And dude was just drunk as a skunk. Unfortunately, thankfully, nobody else was standing by because people walk this where the street is all the time, and there's kids that there's a school at the way other end of the street, but kids will walk down this thing. So I'm just worst case scenario. Thankfully, didn't happen. Nobody else was hurt. The cop showed up. The dude was trying to like walk away, and I'm on the phone with dispatch, like, hey, he's heading towards the other street, and they're like, okay, stay with us and at least keep directing us where he's going so we can get there. And they were there in like minute and a half after I called, and thankfully rolled up on the guy, got him in cuffs, back of the car, and I mean just totally wasted. You could smell it all over him. So definitely a little shaken up, and like adrenaline was pumping this morning at work, man. I was like fired up, like, okay, let's go. Like, thankfully he's okay, and not in a pumped up, like, let's go good way, just in general, that type of event or something that happens. You don't ever think, I've never had that happen or been around that in my life. I've only ever seen it in TV shows or YouTube clips. So it just kind of gave me too, as I've been reflecting the rest of the day, like our first responders, whether you're a police officer, firefighter, EMT, whatever, like rolling up on this stuff, kudos to you guys. Like I already had respect for you guys, but definitely more so now. Like this is your job, and you do that day in and day out. You never know what you're coming up to and what you can see and what condition people are going to be in. So thank you for those of you, who you are, that do serve. And for us as citizens, we appreciate it, or at least I appreciate it very much. And yeah, it just made me feel like, okay, I definitely need to take that Stop the Bleed class, because if he was, in really bad condition, the tourniquet might not have been the move. And if it wasn't, then I don't know the steps, or even to be able to really tell, like, to assess the situation until further assistance can be made for somebody to get there, But I think that's something that's, I've talked about it before, that's just as important as if you're going to decide that you want to carry a handgun. I think it should be just as important to not only protect the life from, having to take a bad guy out, but protecting life by preserving it and saving it through medical ways. I don't know the right way to word that, but you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, just overall, I'm excited to share with you guys that I'll be going on the hunt. Keep pushing yourselves, help me push myself through this journey over the next year of preparing to learn different ways of hunting, whether through the elk hunting and the scouting and the different foods and the gear and the workout that you can do, the dieting, losing weight, and all that stuff. I hope you guys hopefully got something from this, or at least just had a good entertaining story out of it, because I know it was a very entertaining day for me this morning. Without further ado, guys, I will see you guys in the next episode.